Hello, I'm Jerry Fort. I'm going to read a story out of this book here called The Scary States of America, 50 Weird and Terrifying Stories. Yes, one from each state based on true events by Michael Teitelbaum. Many times as I said that, I was like, surely it should just come to me, naturally, but there's some words that just don't stick, So I'm going to read this one here out of Wisconsin, kind of jumping a state because this is a little shorter story, and my lunch is almost over, so excuse me. So I thought I'd read this one instead. Please excuse my nasally sound. I'm just getting over a cold, so like I said, it might be nasally. Okay, Wisconsin, the Beast of Bray Road. Everybody thinks that werewolves only exist in the movies, but my buddy Monster Maven, who lives in Milwaukee, knows better. Here's what he told me. This is the texting or messaging. Monster M. My sister is so annoying. She just laughs when I talk about werewolves and calls me a fantasy freak. I hope she gets attacked by one. Paraguay. That probably would convince her, but I don't think it's going to happen. Paraguay is Jason. I think his name's Jason. He's the one that experienced a lot of these stories. So when I say Paraguay, that's him. Monster M. Don't tell me you're a skeptic too. Paraguay. Dude, have you ever watched a werewolf movie? Some old guy jumping around growling, it's so fake. And with all the stories I've collected, I've never heard a real werewolf story. They are a Hollywood invention. Monster M. No way. Werewolf legends go way back, and there are still legit reports of them today. This TV reporter in my town saw one himself. And since I write for my school paper, I got to interview the guy. His name's Gavin McNally, and he works at WSNI TV. Check out my story. It ran on page 4, in parentheses. It would have been front page if our teacher wasn't an unbelieving loser. This is the story, The Beast of Bray Road by Gavin McNally, as told to Francis Stanton, in parentheses, aka Monster Maven. I sat down with WSNI TV reporter Gavin McNally to talk about his frightening experience meeting the werewolf creature known as the Beast of Bray Road. Here's what Gavin told me during our interview. I had been working at WSNI TV in Milwaukee for 3 years before my fateful trip to Elkhorn. The small rural village may have only been 50 miles away from the city, but for me it was like traveling to another world. I was pretty happy covering local stories for the evening news, the usual mix of local politics, crimes, and human interest in the Midwest. Then the stories from Elkhorn made their way to Milwaukee, tales of a monstrous beast, an animal that walked upright like a human. Witnesses described a big, hairy creature with long, sharp teeth and powerful limbs, munching on roadkill and stolen chickens when it couldn't get its favorite food, human flesh. Like most folks in Milwaukee, I laughed off the stories as blown up Boy Scout campfire tales until a newspaper reporter, whose work I really respect, wrote an article in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel about her encounter with the Beast of Bray Road. So I decided to see for myself. I couldn't convince my editor to send a camera crew along, but I figured I could still snoop around for any leads. If I found something worth putting on the air, I'd come back with a full crew, and I knew I could always take some pictures in case I needed to present evidence to my boss. After arriving in Elkhorn, I went straight to the county's Office of Animal Control. The secretary let me look over a file labeled werewolf. It contained reports of a tall, hairy creature with long arms, a huge jaw, and pointed ears. Some people reported seeing only weird-looking footprints. Others claimed to have seen a beast running on two legs, chase down and catch a white-tailed deer, grabbing the antlers with its powerful arms. The creature snapped the deer's neck and tore into its flesh with long fang-like teeth. The reporters had one thing in common. The sightings and attacks all took place on or around Bray Road, a winding two-lane country road that meandered through a thickly wooded area. My curiosity piqued. Excuse me. Is that how you pronounce it? Piqued? I'm going to say peaked. I contacted one of the people listed in the file. Julie, a senior at Elkhorn High School, told me of a foggy night about 2 months earlier when she was driving home from a friend's house along Bray Road. The fog was so thick she could hardly see the road. Then she felt her right front tire rise into the air as it bounced over something big. Fearing she had hit an animal, Julie screeched to a halt and jumped from her car, grabbing a flashlight and running back to the spot where the impact had taken place. She swept the fog-shrouded road with her beam, but saw nothing. As she returned to her car, she caught movement out of the corner of her eye. Turning around, she saw that something was running toward her, and fast. The thing, as she called it, had a big hairy chest. It stood upright and ran on two legs, its huge jaws gaping wide, its clawed hands outstretched. Terrified, Julie scrambled back into her car. Thankfully, the engine was running, but in her state of terror, she lost precious seconds fumbling with the gear shift. Just as she managed to put the car in drive and slam on the gas, the thing grabbed hold of her rear bumper. Julie peeled out, hoping to dislodge the creature, but when she looked in her rearview mirror, she saw the beast climbing onto her trunk, crawling forward and digging its claws into the metal. Limb by limb, it inched forward along the outside of the car. Panic swept over Julia as she realized that the beast was heading right for the driver's door. If its claws could pierce metal, surely it could have no problem breaking her window. Julie accelerated as the creature continued to claw its way toward her. Then the car's headlights illuminated the sign for Sittler Road, which veered off sharply to the right. Barely slowing down, Julie pulled the steering wheel hard to the right. Her tires squealed, and the smell of burning rubber mingled with the sickly odor of the hideous beast. The car spun into the turn, its back wheels skidding to the left. Yanking the wheel hard to the left to narrowly avoid a ditch, Julie looked back over her shoulder just in time to see the creature fly from the car and tumble into the road. Her plan had worked. She sped home and called the police, but they were unable to find any trace of a mysterious attacker along the road. Visibly shaken from telling her story, Julie said to me, "If I hadn't taken that turn when I did, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. I know he would have devoured me." Then she showed me the deep gouges and scratches all over her car. I snapped a bunch of photos to show my editor. I could tell from the way Julie had told her tale that she certainly believed it was true, and there didn't seem to be any other explanation for the damage to her car. Still, I had to find out for myself. As darkness fell over Elkhorn, I drove out to Bray Road, pulling my car onto the shoulder next to a thickly wooded area. I hoisted myself onto the hood and sat there, phone and flashlight in hand. The night grew still and deep as a million stars revealed themselves overhead, and a chorus of crickets droned a steady rhythm. The sudden snapping of a twig cut through the air like a gunshot. I slid to the ground and switched on my light. I had walked about 10 yards from the car, sweeping the woods with my flashlight, when I saw it, standing barely 5 feet away from me. That's not too far away from you. That's like almost in front of your face. If he's 10 yards from it, and that thing is as fast as it is, he's done. It would have him right there. if it wanted to. Part of me hadn't really believed the stories I'd been told, but there was no denying it now. I stood face to face with the beast of Bray Road. The creature rose to its full height, which must have been close to 8 feet. Its body was covered with scraggly brown fur, and his scrawny but muscular chest led to a wolf-like head. Its long, snarling snout opened, revealing saber-like fangs and strings of blood-speckled saliva hanging from its lips. Sounds nasty. A deep, throaty roar shook the night air. Breath putrid with stench of dead meat assailed my nose. I knew that I could die, but I also knew this could be the opportunity of my career. Can't have a career if you're dead. I raised the phone slowly, surprised by my ability to function in the face of danger. I'd never been tested as a reporter like this before. Flash! The blinding burst of light as I took a photo momentarily startled the beast, which stumbled backward, squeezing its eyes shut and covering its face with claw-studded hands. I took advantage of the delay, turning and dashing back toward my car, but the beast recovered swiftly and gave chase. I knew I was no match for it. I was not going to reach my car in time. As I forced my legs to go faster, I could hear the creature's growl behind me growing louder. It swiped at my arm, narrowly missing my wrist but knocking the phone from my hand. I tumbled into the dark woods, carrying my evidence with it. It tumbled into the dark woods, carrying my evidence with it, his phone. But I couldn't think about that right now. I had to focus on survival. I raced ahead, only inches between my body and the beast's claws. Looking up, I spotted an enormous tractor trailer barreling down Bray Road in my direction. It's my only chance, I thought. If I can time it just right. Cutting sharply to my feet, I darted into the road, crossing just in front of the truck and diving to safety across the road. Blah! The truck's horn. Oh, that's a horn? I thought he just hit the werewolf. Blah! That's what it says. The truck's horn blared, and I turned back to see its taillights fade down the road. Scrambling to my feet, I looked back across the road, desperately searching for the creature. I saw no sign of the beast. Was it smashed against the front of the truck? Had it vanished back into the woods to plan another attack? I was certainly not about to stick around to find out. I slipped into my car and headed back to Milwaukee without the photos. I had no proof, and a follow-up crew was never sent to Elkhorn. The beast of Bray Road remains at large to this day. That's the end. The beast of Bray Road. Where's that? Freaky. Okay. If you enjoy paranormal type books like this and you want one of these for your collection, get you a copy. The Scary States of America by Michael Teitelbaum. 50 weird and terrifying stories, one from each state, based on true events. Dadgummit. One from each state based on true events. I'll remember it eventually. Before I'm done with the book, I'll be able to recite it, I think. But yeah, all right. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one. Bye.